Welcome to our family table. Happy Sunday. On today's menu, we have homemade meatballs. So this has been a family tradition of mine for as long as I can remember. So we're gonna start in this bowl. We have 1 pound of ground beef. We have a half a pound of ground pork, and we have a half a pound of ground veal. So to this bowl, I will advise let your meat stand out for a little bit from the refrigerator. Take it out and sit it on the counter for about 20 or 30 minutes just to let it get to room temperature. It's easier on your hands and it's easier to mix. So to this bowl, I'm going to add about 6 cloves of chopped minced garlic. I'm going to throw that in there. We have about 1/4 of a diced onion, very small. Throw that in there. We have about half a cup of panko breadcrumbs. If you don't have panko breadcrumbs, you can simply add regular breadcrumbs. I tend to not do seasoned breadcrumbs. I like to use just plain breadcrumbs, and you can add the flavor with everything else. So you want to sprinkle the breadcrumbs in. And then we have 1 large egg. Crack that in there. Okay. And then we have about 1/4 cup to a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. I add a little bit and then I will add a little bit more. Just sprinkle in a little bit of that. And then we have salt. I eyeball this, maybe a generous pinch, and just kind of sprinkle that over there. And then we have fresh ground black pepper. And then probably the secret ingredient is simply warm to hot water. You're gonna add a little bit in at a time. Just add a little bit in. Oh, it's spilling over. And then you gotta get your hands dirty. You gotta get in there and use your hands. Good rule of thumb in the kitchen, your hands are your best tools. Use them. And just mush everything together until everything is combined. The egg is well combined. Everything looks cohesive. And you will see by the consistency of this mixture, it's a little tight. So that's where you gradually add in your warm water, because we want this mixture very soft before we pan fry them. Add a little bit more warm water, and just remember, you can always add, you can't take away. So little bits at a time is your friend. And you can add this throughout the browning process of your meatballs. Add a little bit and then you'll pan fry them, and you can always add a little bit more. And another good thing is, you may think this is kind of weird, but I do a smell test. And if I can smell the garlic and the cheese, we're ready to go. Okay, so the next step, once you mix all your ingredients in together into the bowl, you're gonna form the meatballs. You can essentially make them any size you want, depending on what you want to use them for. And if you wanted to use them in a meatball sub, you may want to make them a little bit larger if you're strictly putting them in sauce over spaghetti. Again, this is customizable. You can make them any size you want. I tend to make them the size of a golf ball. And in this pan, I have a neutral oil. I use avocado oil. I have about 1/4 inch of oil in this pan. So once you have the meatballs rolled in your hand, you're gonna place them in the oil. And you can hear that nice sizzling sound. And you're going to proceed with this process. You're going to fill up your pan. I usually put 5 or 6 in a pan. You don't want to overcrowd it, because if you overcrowd it too much, your oil temperature will go down drastically and you won't get that good browning crust on your meatballs. Okay, so once you have all your meatballs in your pan, the first round, there's 5 in here, you're going to brown them on each side. It will take approximately 3 to 4 minutes per side. I have the oil heating at a medium low, so it's not overwhelming. So once the meatballs start to brown, you're just going to flip them over and repeat the process. And you want to make sure you brown the meatballs on all sides. So once you flip them over, you may have to move the meatballs to the sides so each side gets a good browning. And then once you brown all sides, you're going to put them in a pot of sauce. You can make your homemade sauce. You can use any jarred sauce. Today I am using Rayo's because it's what we have, and we love Rayo's sauce. It's low in sugar. Meatballs are all brown on all sides. I'm going to put them in a pot of sauce and let them cook pretty much all day on low, and it will take about 4 hours for them all to be done. I hope you try this recipe. I hope you love it. I hope your family loves it. Thanks for being here. And we are back with our meatballs. It's been about 4.5 hours since they've slow cooked in the sauce all day. So I've plated them up in a casserole dish. You could easily put mozzarella cheese on here, fresh mozzarella, bake them off in the oven, put them on a sub roll, or just have them with crusty bread, or just as simple as some spaghetti. But we are going to try them as is and see what she tastes like. Let's get some sauce on here. All right, let's try it. Absolutely delicious. I highly suggest you try this with your family. You will not regret it. Thank you for watching our video today. Wherever you are, we hope that this meal reminds you that you are loved, you are blessed, and you are part of our family table.